Hey guys, what's going on? Don Martino here, and I'm here to break down the latest episode of Obi Wan Kenobi. This breakdown will be a little bit different, probably a little bit shorter for two reasons. Number one, I am a little bit late on this and pressed for time. Number two being not a lot happens in this episode comparatively, so let's just get right into it. So I was a little bit worried about breaking this one down. I'll be honest with you, there was a lot of division online, and I happen to really like this episode. I know it's mostly negative online and people's opinions are very negative on this, a lot of people calling it filler, which I happen to disagree with, seeing as how it does examine that forward moving narrative that's been going on through the show. I don't know how it's necessarily filler, but maybe more of a self-contained piece. I do have a couple issues with the episode, which we'll go into as we move along here. Obi-Wan wakes up from that fight that he had. He's getting pulled into an early rebel base, as I would like to call it. We are seeing the early formation. He goes into the back to tank to try to heal, and he comes out really early. Tala tells him, you gotta keep healing, man. You're not ready to get out there again. But he's just worried about Leia, which I really like that. I like that he's kind of got this adrenaline rush, really pulling him out of there really quickly to go get Leia. That's a really cool aspect. It just continues that narrative. Leia is the driving force of the show, and whatever leads him to rematch with Darth Vader, it's got to be Leia, right? I mean, there's no other driving force there. Reva's interrogating Leia. I know a lot of people had problems with the scene. I still think Moses Ingram as Reva is a dominating, very intimidating force. I love her in this show so much, and I think Vivia Lyra Blair continues to be great as Leia, especially later on in the episode when she's really fighting back with her, saying, well, if we're all on the same side like you're telling me, then I could talk to my father about this. This shouldn't matter. I really love that dynamic. The dialogue is great to me. I thought that played really nicely. I love the back and forth between the two. I had no problems here like a lot of other people. So Tala and Obi-Wan go and meet up with this guy named Roken, and this is where my problems start to lie. I think O'Shea Jackson Jr. does a great job as the character. I think my biggest issue with him is kind of the way that him and Obi-Wan start having a dialogue like they've known each other for a while. But then we get that character built out when he kind of starts to talk about how his wife used to be a Force user, so he knows exactly what Inquisitors are capable of. And then my other issue here is really when they're talking about the Imperial base. Now, I think it's cool that it lies in the Mustafar system, and it's the same one that we know of from Jedi Fallen Order. We'll get to that here in a minute. But my problem is that the base has no defenses. If it's that important, you think they would have TIE fighters or big guns on the outside of it, or shields, as Obi-Wan suggested, and the reasoning is that nobody would be stupid enough to attack it. Well, here we are. So it's so weird to me, especially the Empire knowing that they have Leia at that base. Maybe not the Empire, because granted Reva was trying to keep that on the hush hush, but still, it's just weird to me that that base has no defenses whatsoever, and it's their most important base. That's probably my biggest problem with the episode. Anybody can just go right through the front door and attack. Just inconsistent with the way that we've seen the Empire operate in the past, or in anything else Star Wars related in this era. But so on and so forth. Obi-Wan does swim and climb into the base. I like that a lot. I do like Tala's little pep talk beforehand too, and also the fact that she's kind of going into this from the standpoint that she still thinks she has her cover. She doesn't know if it's been blown yet or not because of the events prior. So I really like that suspense level going in there with Tala as well, not really knowing where she's going to stand with the rest of the Empire at this point, if they're really going to buy that she's still a part of their regime. Tala choking out another Imperial officer was super awesome. I also love the distraction Obi-Wan came up with when he kind of used the Force to turn the stormtroopers the other way. I thought that played really nicely as well. I love the design, by the way, of the interrogation room that Reva eventually takes Leia to. I think that's one of the better settings we've had in Star Wars in recent days. I thought that just looked awesome. So Obi-Wan tells Tala to create a distraction so he can get into that interrogation room and save Leia. A lot of people have problems with this because they're like, why would Reva just leave Leia there? But honestly, she had stormtroopers in there, which was enough defense, I think, in Reva's mind for the time being, while she stepped away to talk to Tala. And she had Tala pegged right from the very beginning, and Tala kind of fools her again, kind of making her think she's like this triple agent at this point, which is really insane. But the sequence of Obi-Wan igniting his saber in the dark and taking out one stormtrooper and then again the other stormtrooper, that was really fun, really fascinating to watch. I love that. Great lightsaber action right there. And he gets Leia out, and then we have more lightsaber action going on in the hallway, and I actually really dug it. It's not quite as good. It's a little bit more choppy than the stuff we saw at the very beginning in the flashback to the Clone Wars, so not quite as good as that, not the best lightsaber action we've seen out of Obi-Wan or even in the Star Wars franchise, but it's really, really good. It's just great to see him ignite the thing again and go a little ham, you know? So I'm happy with that, at least. That was actually nice enough to have, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be really picky. You're showing me Obi-Wan Kenobi with a lightsaber again, and I'll just take it. It's kind of nice to see. I know, I'm easy to please. I'm an easy audience member. I get it, but hey, it was pretty cool. Then the glass cracks on the side. Obi-Wan has to use the Force to get it. I don't mind this. This was pretty cool to me. It was reminiscent of Jedi Fallen Order. He kind of creates a distraction, or not a distraction, but he buys himself some time, but then he has to let go, eventually run from the water, which I thought that sequence looked really nice as well. I know a lot of people had a problem with that. I don't really see the issue. I don't think the CGI is terrible at all. I don't think it's the best CGI I've ever seen, but I don't think that means it's terrible. I think it worked perfectly fine for the show. They're on their way out. A couple of the rebels, quote unquote, because they're not officially called that yet in this time period, come by to attack and try to save them. Obi-Wan's kind of carrying Leia. I actually thought this was great comic relief when Obi-Wan was carrying Leia in his coat. I know a lot of people are like, why wouldn't they see that? It's just funny. I kind of enjoyed the humor of that, and actually Reva kind of found him pretty immediately after that, so it wasn't a huge ordeal, I don't think, but Reva's kind of trying to get out of there. I think Obi-Wan was just buying himself enough time to hopefully get on one of these ships. Reva's kind of coming after him. They finally do get on the ship, but then one of the gunners, I think it's Wade, is shooting at Reva, and Reva's blocking the attacks with her saber. I really liked a lot of that. I liked the movement of the lightsaber. I liked the way that was shot. I didn't think it was too terrible. And they escape, and Reva uses the Force to take one of the explosives in the base itself, throws it at Wade, and Wade goes down. His ship goes down, and then they all get back on the ship, and he's like, where's Wade? That's broken. And they tell him apparently that he's dead. And I like the line from Tala that you guys really are soldiers now. That's really kind of hinting and foreshadowing to the rebellion that will eventually be formed. So I really enjoyed that. So Reva let him get away once again, and Vader is pissed. I thought this was probably the best scene in the episode. Just watching Vader angry is always very cool. When he comes up to her, chokes her out, and then Reva reveals though that this time they have a tracker on the ship, and we're like, oh, that's really good for the audience members to be like, that's gonna be wild. And it kind of sets up some of the things that are coming in the next episode. I think I thought one of the most heartfelt moments of the show existed in this episode as well, when Leia took Obi-Wan's hand at the end. It really did remind me of Kylo Ren, aka Ben Solo, and why Leia would name her only son after Obi-Wan Kenobi at this point. So I like that a lot. I thought that was extremely heartfelt and touching, and man, did it just create so much context for things that came in the future. So really enjoyed that as well. And then of course at the end they revealed that the tracker is within Lola. So yeah guys, I really like this episode. I know it's getting a lot of hate. I didn't really see a lot of the issues, honestly. They didn't bother me as much anyway. If they were there are a couple. Again, I don't think this is the best episode by any means. That definitely belongs to episode 3, with episode 1 following shortly behind that. I thought the pilot episode was fantastic, and this is probably still my least favorite episode, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just right under 2 for me. That's kind of where I'm going to stick it. So we got 2 more episodes. Hopefully they are the best 2 episodes. That's all I want, and can't wait. I did like this self-contained piece. And by the way, Leia being held hostage and Obi-Wan having to go get her, A New Hope homage, which I thought was very cool. I like that they continuously pay tribute to the prequels or the originals or whatever. It's kind of nice. It's nice to see that these creators were so inspired by the movies that came before. So it's a lot of fun to have. All right guys, that'll do it for the breakdown of Obi-Wan episode 4. I've been Don Martino, and I will talk to you guys later.